Already I can sense that people are rage spamming in the comments saying that I'm copying straight off of GoMotion, Seigen Hawks, and Saberspark. Now keep in mind that all the terms and topics I list off here are from my personal viewpoint. But enough jibber jabber. Let's dive right in. So with any FNAF fan game, whenever there's an outline base mixed in with a few mechanics as well as some twists and turns, that's mainly how a FNAF game would come together, right? Well, for someone who would first enter the FNAF community. There's a lot more to that. And with that small minority of some thrown in rinse and repeat mechanics in most fan games out there, it's likely that there won't be much view on it. Of course not right away, it's gotta take time. Which all leads to one fan game in particular. Five Nights at Maggie's. Now this game in general was created in 2016 by a Spanish developer named Manuel Gennaro, if that's how you pronounce it, which then later on went into an account with 3 new installments, one of them being delayed at times. But mainly this game consisted of 5 characters being Maggie, Chanchi, Lola, Guppy, Surdy, as well as the hidden character Cracky. Of course, without turning this whole rundown into a lecture, let's jump right into some of the key elements. Okay, so already from the top screen, this took huge cliche props out of FNAF 1 with the large use of static, which you'll see what I mean later on, head twitching, and also the use of different characters fleshing in and out just like FNAF 2. And of course with the credits at the bottom and certain directions on choosing how to play this game, if being through full screen or small screen. But we all know we play on that full screen, baby. So already from the looks of the office, things look a bit simplistic. In terms of being the overall layout being 2 side doors and 1 middle corridor depicting FNAF 2's layout, I get that with any office layout there seems to always be a certain...
Welcome to your new shop. I will not split my...
Hey, can any of y'all hear a clear word out of this phone guy? Or is it just me? No? Wait, really? Alright. From hearing the phone guy's audio quality, it sounds like he's talking out of a Bunsen burner. No offense to the developer. But if you're wanting to explain the overall information, you gotta sound clear and concise, at least with the effects being lowered down. That being, with looking at the cameras and the main layout, the use of static on these cameras are over the top. Like the company must have really been on that much of a tight budget. But in all seriousness, I get that the cameras are supposed to be consistent with some sort of static film to it, but this could have easily been lowered down so that the areas could be seen better, as well as the rooms being brightened up as well, because there isn't much detail that can be pointed out in the main party rooms, backstage, and even the kitchen, which I'm surprised there was even one in there. To be fair, the only way to properly see what the layout of each room looks like without the overuse of the static filter is on the Five Nights at Maggie's wiki, which was made a while back, but regardless, the rooms are still at a lack of detail with them being really dark. Alright, so skipping over to when the animatronics actually move and some parts of what the phone guy explained. Instead of there being a light switch on the doors, you're obtained with a flashlight to check the doors if there's an animatronic that appears. Now when you do close a door, it drains the power, but when opening it again, it recharges and goes back up. So this is something a bit different aside from it almost being a cliche mix of FNAF 1 and 2 mechanics. But that's not all. There was also a description saying that you can hide under the desk if an animatronic gets in the office, which only happens with 2 of the characters. The pattern through each night is just simplistic. Only one animatronic moves on night 1, being Maggie, and the same thing gradually happens with the progressing nights, with each of them taking their own routes. All just a rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat routine of flashing and closing and occasionally hiding in case you're not careful. Which, I don't know who wouldn't be. Now from going ahead to night 4, when the animatronic from the backstage, Guppy, starts to roam about, he works the exact same by attempting to appear in the main corridor, but then being shut off. However, he does have the mechanic of going through the vent system, and on the desk there's a small laptop that controls the ventilations to seal them off, preventing Guppy from entering your office. Now again, with the use of repetitive and thoughtless mechanics followed by that rinse and repeat routine, it starts to get boring and doesn't really nail down that sense of action to it. And then there's night 5. Yeah. It's literally night 1 all over again. Just one character moving. That being Surdy. In this night, it's just him moving around with the same mechanics as Guppy, only moving on one route. That being that he only goes to the right door. Not even the other doors, which would have been a bit more different, but regardless easy to avoid. At that point, you don't even have to check the cameras. Just keep flashing at the right door and spamming the laptop to close the vents until 6 AM. At that point, seeing it unintentionally easy. At that point, you get your paycheck, which is then followed by night 6 and custom night. So from all this alone, it was just a rinse and repeat cycle. And I know I kept saying that like a broken record, but it even leaves people saying it on a rinse and repeat cycle. Now there is one element in the game that was a bit pleasing to see in terms of the lore and such.
God, it is.
Yeah, he's not fine. At all. Oh, we're still doing this? Alright, never mind. So after every night when 6 AM hits, there's a series of static overlapping some incoming classic music, then showing an arcade machine with the screen displaying Surdy with creepy looking eyes, and the top text saying, "Follow Surdy." So at that point, from looking at it, it's almost like a rendition from the minigames that happen after every night in FNAF 3. So when pressing start, there's a flash frame of Surdy looking at you and then the view being transported into the game. Then you start to play as one of the characters, which goes on for every completed night. After some exploring, you see Surdy walking away with a child being lured into a back room, for the animatronic you play as to follow as well. Then eventually when entering the back room, Surdy walks over to the lure child when static starts to engrowth the screen, signifying that Surdy killed the child that's now possessing this specific animatronic. Now, on night 5 when playing as Lola, Surdy isn't luring any child with him, but when entering the back room it abruptly cuts to static, leaving it all there at a closure. So now comes the final verdict and thoughts on the game. Now while this was the first take on the series being the first step on climbing its mountain, it started off decently. It's not the worst, but it's not the greatest either considering the use of rinse and repeat mechanics and the lackluster of any sort of thread when dealing with the animatronics. In terms of the ambience with the game, it's all in all just the desk fan whirling as the night progresses, which gives a lack of ambience to the game. With any of the aesthetics put into any FNAF fan game, this game didn't entirely age well with its overall looks and mechanics, which takes into account with its overuse of camera static preventing people from seeing the layout of the location in full detail. For it being its first take, it of course did have its flaws here and there. Now in terms of the lore, it's mainly blunt when compared to the main outline of the FNAF lore, that being 5 kids lured into a back room and killed, thus them possessing the animatronics.
They haven't ever. Maggie was not a great time for the restaurant. Still remember that day. Oh man, years working here. And because something man. Well.
Oh, well, that's cool I guess. With FNAF games having Easter eggs, some are just triggered by sheer chance, which leaves this one that's the most well known in particular with the backstage in this game. Being Cracky appearing in there, looking at the camera, disappearing from an envelopment of static, then appearing in the office. Now, you can't avoid this by hiding under the desk, but when looking at him long enough, he engrossed your screen for about 4 seconds, then cutting to text in Winding's font for about a split second for the game to then crash. From using a converter, what it translates to is, "Help me, please," which could signify the child that's possessing Cracky is saying all this. For the closing words on this game, all that can really be said for it being its first take on this series is consistent. Consistent on its rinse and repeat mechanics and visuals. However, with the upcoming reimagining of the game consisting of much better graphics and visuals from the general look from the trailer and the teasers on the Game Jolt page. Now with that, Manuel Gennaro had to, for some reason, unlist the classic games, which I can only assume is to put his main focus on their reimagining of the first game and to keep the hype train going for the fans that are on board. To put this game on a ranking scale, I'd put it at a 6 out of 10 for the ranking of originality and gameplay. Overall, this is all in all a summary between the classic and remastered game. And with that being said, this review on the Fangame comes to a close. So I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, feel free to hit that like button, subscribe for more content just like this, and hit that bell to get notified when new content comes out. Any other thoughts on this game would be nice, and to see this Fangame series get a bit higher recognition than what it's already got. So thank you all so much for watching, I hope y'all did enjoy, and I'll see you on the next one. See ya, y'all.